All right, people. So our next review is going to be a solo review. I saw it. Nick did not, and that is for the movie One Night Only. One Night Only. There is a movie starring Callum Turner. People might know him there. He was in the those Harry Potter adjacent movies.
Yeah,
There, those
the Fantastic Beasts and Where to
Fantastic
Find Them
Beasts.
movies. And
Yeah,
he's also married to Dua Lipa. And
yes,
we're
he's also
supposed to believe that he has trouble getting laid on the one night a year where sex is legal.
Well, actually, they do mention that because everybody in this movie goes in and looks at him and goes like, "Bro, you're really fucking handsome. Like, what the fuck? Like, you know what I mean?
How do you have
Like,
trouble?
so he does have a girlfriend in the movie
Mhm.
who's played by Maya Hawke. Who, my God, I mean, I know that she's the daughter of Uma Thurman and Ethan Hawke. But never more did she look like Uma Thurman than in this movie. Like there's some scenes with her, and I'm like, Jesus, it was like, man, Ethan Hawke jeans didn't even try. I mean, Jesus Christ, it was like copy and paste. But yeah, so Maya Hawke is his girlfriend in this, and he's been seeing her for a long time. But well, actually, let me set up the premise first. So the premise of this is horny nigga purge. It's basically there's one night a year the government has mandated where people can have premarital sex, and this has been going on for 3 years. So there's the one night a year where everybody goes out and becomes the sluttiest they can be, so they can sleep with somebody and then eventually maybe marry them. So I guess so you can continuously sleep with them and find that connection, because I guess they're thinking like, well, I'm not going to find a connection with anybody unless I do sleep with the person. And you have two people in the movie. You have Callum Turner, as I mentioned, who people might know from the Fantastic Beasts movies there. And then you also have Monica Barbaro there, who people might know. She was in the Bob Dylan movie with Timothy Chalamet, Complete Unknown. She was also in Top Gun Maverick there. She was in that film there. And she's also kind of, they're in a similar position where they're looking for, you know what I mean, to spend this night with somebody, you know what I mean? And it starts from like 7 p.m. all the way to 7 a.m. So it's like 12 hours there that they have this amount of time that people have to find somebody and sleep with somebody. And you may ask, well, how does the government track this? How do they track people sleeping with each other? Well, they say that everybody had these
how did this mandate even pass? Because it's like, so this is a country that almost burned to the ground over like being forced to wear masks during COVID. How did this come to pass?
They do mention, there's vague things where they mention, like, so for example, there's Molly Ringwald, who's in the movie, who plays the mother of Callum Turner, who's in this movie. He's Owen, that's his name in it. And Molly Ringwald, who plays his mother. And then she's having a hookup. So at first, after he had that like bad experience with Maya Hawke, who he's about to propose to her. He's about to go like, hey, we've been waiting. Let's do it. Let's finally do it. And she goes like, well, I think I want to experiment with some other people before I do this. And you know what I mean? I get engaged to you. So he's heartbroken and distraught. And that's when he goes to his mother's house. And then his mother's kind of like, well, that's nice and all, but you got to get the hell up out of here because I got something going on tonight. And then the person she's hooking up with is LeVar Burton. And LeVar, who looks good. I mean, he showed up in like a crop top, and it was like, damn, LeVar Burton. I mean, he looks pretty good. And so they start arguing a little bit back and forth about like this night and how it happened. And they said, so it was something that was passed by Congress. So Congress did it and they voted on this. And so people, it's not like citizens of the states voted on this. So they mentioned that. And then as far as like protests goes, there's a little bit of like, fuck the mandate. Like you see like graffiti and all that stuff on the walls and buildings and stuff. And there's people who, have these little things, slogans like, yeah, fuck the mandate. But there's not you don't see any real protest or any real on the street action of people doing anything. It's just like, okay, those vague kind of mentionings of stuff. So that kind of is irrelevant there. And then in the movie, you see on like posters in the background, like there's other countries that are advertising like, hey, if you come to our country, well, we'll let you fuck anytime you want. You're like Cuba. If you come to Cuba, we'll let you have sex. So it's like you would think like the economy of all those other countries would be skyrocketing because it's like everybody would be
booming.
Yeah, it would be going up. And then I mean, I don't want to get too dark. I don't want to get too morbid here, but there's a case of like you have this bill in place of like this mandate. I mean, sexual assault would probably also go through the roof here. It would
Yeah,
it would be
it's like maybe kind of address the totalitarian fascist hellscape that you have created, but the implications of this bill.
they don't really delve in that at all there. And then it's further kind of brought up because Monica Barbaro, her character, she has a gay roommate who's a lesbian. And then her lesbian roommate there, so she's not gonna go out this night because she's babysitting for somebody. And she's just like, oh, this neighbor paid me $5,000 to babysit her kid. And so I'll skip it. And she says, so I'll skip this night and you don't worry about me because gay people, we've been sneaking around having sex since before the Bible. That seems like the more interesting movie of like all these people that are actually skirting around this bill and actually still able to have sex without the night on this one special night. That seems like the more interesting movie here.
It feels like, in even just like looking at this trailer, like hearing about this, how like the movie that is like explicitly about sex doesn't have any like sexual content in it. It feels like this was made by the most heterosexual person alive, and not just that, the most prudish heterosexual person alive. There's like no freaks were involved in the making of this movie.
And that was another. So this movie's directed by Will Gluck. It's funny that his last name sounds like a sex sound, Gluck. I mean, you know what I mean?
No, his last name literally is a sex sound.
It's a sex sound, William Gluck, and he's done movies. He did Easy A, which was like Emma Stone's like big come out movie. Besides, well, she was also in Superbad. That was also big for her too. But Easy A was also like her as the lead in that. I like Easy A. That's a
great movie.
He also did Friends with Benefits, which was like the other movie that wasn't Natalie Portman and Ashton Kutcher movie.
Yeah, that was the worst one of the two.
Yeah, and he also did Anyone But You, which was that Glenn Close and Sidney Powell movie.
Sydney Sweeney.
Oh shit, I married them. Sorry, my bad. Yeah, Sydney Sweeney movie there, which I thought was it was all right. It was fine. So he's known for doing that, and like the big thing also with this movie was like a movie about sex and about people having sex on this one night was that there's no nudity in it. There's no real sex scenes in this movie. And that was kind of the big thing. And you have like One Night Only director Will Gluck cut out so much nudity because people dislike sex on screen. It takes you out of the movie. And here it mentions also like Gen Z are very prudish, and they don't, sex makes them uncomfortable in theater. Gen Z, asking for consent to the movie is like, can I watch you have sex there? He didn't say that, but I'm just, what I mean, I'm just being hyperbolic. But I'm just saying, like, I mean, if you're gonna have a movie like this, it's like, I'm not saying I want to see Monica Barbaro naked or anything. I'm just saying that kind of seems like, I kind of do, but
I do, but on that hand, it feels like I don't have a problem with sex and nudity in films if the story calls for it, and this reads like a situation where it kind of fucking does.
Yeah, I think this is if a movie like this, I think it does call for. I mean, I don't like gratuitous nudity because people bring up with like Euphoria and people just get naked, or something like The Idol where people just taking it, like, just feels like this doesn't really, this is just softcore porn. That's what you're just doing. Like there's no real art to this. So yeah, I think that's kind of a big thing there. And then just people kind of looking for kind of relationships and love in this type of situation, and then I'm gonna spoil the end because I mean what the fuck happens probably in this. So of course
it's a fucking studio rom-com. Of course they get together at the end.
They get together at the end because they're going through all these different scenarios, these crazy scenarios, and they always end up kind of finding each other again. So a lot of times they're thinking like, well, maybe it is meant to be. Maybe we are supposed to be together, and they end up kind of connecting because both these people, they want to find intimate, meaningful connections. You know what I mean? They just don't want to have sex on this one. They actually want to have meaningful connections there with somebody, or find somebody there. For a little bit of Callum Turner's character.
So these two are just dumb as fuck because you pick the one night a year.
Yeah, the one night a year to try to do that. I mean, with Callum Turner's character, I mean, him, like, he just broke up with his girlfriend, so he's just kind of looking for, like, I guess a revenge fuck, I guess, a little bit. That's kind of situation kind of going on. But yeah, so they keep finding each other, and after that, yeah, they end up together, and then they wait the year so they can, because they get together at the very end when the night is over, and then they wait the year to actually have sex. So it's kind of saying like, so is this movie saying that, well, it was a good idea that, they waited and they remained abstinent and they didn't have sex with each other right away, because that would have maybe ruined the experience, and then they would have, what I mean, they wouldn't have gotten together. But I'm like, I mean, that's fine if you want to
Mhm.
have abstinence. I'm not anti-abstinent if you want to do that, and that's a personal choice. But in this movie, the government is telling you you can't fuck. So it's like, I'm not for the government telling you that. And then so it's kind of like, what are you trying to really say here? And with that kind of stuff, so that just kind of was like, that really kind of confused me there. I was like, what are you really
Oof.
trying to, what's the message here? And then you have it where, there's like this politician that comes on the TV. This is earlier in the movie, of like, he's speaking to like a Chinese state rep or like a news person or something, and saying like, well, STDs are way down, and teen pregnancies is way down, and that's not happening anymore. Which I'm buying as like, that's propaganda,
Mhm.
that he's
Yeah,
just
it's like,
making up to
yeah,
sell it.
look at every fucking abstinence only education state, teen pregnancies through the roof.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like that, what was it, that episode of Family Guy where Meg got fucked in the ear or something? Like, chilling in the ear. She got an ear infection and shit. Like, it's just like, okay, yeah, I imagine that's all propaganda, but it was just like, okay, what are you kind of saying here? And then there's this whole thing with like, oh God, what was another thing in the movie I'm trying to think of? I just lost it. But yeah, I mean, it's not really that enjoyable of a movie to watch,
Mm.
really. It's not really all that enjoyable. It's not really all that fun. The chemistry between him and Monica Barbaro, it's okay. I wouldn't say like it's really that
Mm.
sizzling, really,
Yeah,
all that
even
much.
yeah, everything I've seen, it feels like Barbaro, who is already an Oscar nominee, it feels like she's pulling most of the weight.
Yeah. There's like a funny bit with her because she's a singer,
Mhm.
and she does like singing for like commercials about like medicine, about like Pepto Bismol and all that type of diet, like diarrhea stuff. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of funny. She does like a little kind of voice of singing for that, and she's like very nervous about singing in
Mhm.
front of people. But yeah, it's like, yeah, it just seems like a weird kind of sci-fi dystopian concept you have of like this one night a year where people can have sex, and you make
Mhm.
this about that. Like, yeah, it just seems kind of
Yeah, it's like,
strange.
maybe don't write a dystopian sci-fi like kind of premise like this if you're not willing to engage with the dystopia.
And it doesn't look like you said, these two people, they're still like enjoying life. They're
They're
still
yeah,
happy,
they're
you know?
it's like
Eh,
you pick two of the most conventionally attractive people and you're trying to make me believe that they can't get laid. I mean, have look at Monica Barbaro in that dress. It's like, come on.
and when I tell you, everybody, like even the women like that don't have any lines in the movie, that are just walking past them on the street, all of them do a double take. All of them look back and go, "Damn," you know what I mean? All of them do that. You know what I mean? Like it. So
It's
they're
like,
clearly saying like, this dude.
if Callum Turner's character just wants a revenge lay, turn around, bro.
Yeah. Oh, that's what I was gonna bring up. The fact that people may ask, like, okay, so how are they able to track you having sex and all this other stuff? So it's like a chip, they, I think they did like a reader or something like that, where it's like a thing. So it's like a thing on your wrist that they put on you. Like when you go to the club and they kind of like stamp you or something. It's kind of some shit like that. And they can like track you using that. And it like lights up a certain color. So I think when it's red, that means like it's red for most of the year until the purge sex happens, and then it lights up green and everything like that. And that's when it's like, okay, you're good to go to have sex now. So the fact that people waited in line to get stamped like that, like they, I'm just imagine people like busting down doors. You know what I mean? Like,
It's like
you know, the,
it's like we are a country that tears itself apart on Black Friday to get a fucking toaster oven. You feel like I feel like, it's like the one night a year you can legally get laid. I feel like that would prompt a little more riot.
Yeah. I'm just imagining like that scene in like Scott Pilgrim with like Thomas Jane and shit like that, and he's just busting in, and it's like the little kind of like police like that, and then they show up, and
Horny police.
yeah, like it's like I just imagine some shit like that. It's kind of like,
It's
okay,
like once you create this, it's like you create more questions than the narrative calls for. It's like, okay, so premarital sex is off the table. What about self-care? Does that
yeah,
count?
Yeah, that's another thing. Yeah, is masturbation illegal? They don't bring that up at
Is
all.
is like is it like if you use protection, does it count? Is it like
Yeah, and then so they don't even engage with that idea. Like, is that against like masturbation? If you were to do that, they don't engage with that at all. Like, is that also illegal?
what
Like
about
it's like
gay sex? Is that illegal?
yeah. So you got that. So I'd give it. So at first I was kind of like coming out of it. I was like, maybe it's like a stream it, whatever. But then the more I
Mhm.
thought about it, the more I said on, I was like, yeah, this is some bullshit. I was like, so I'd give it a burn it. I'd give it a burn it. There. The more I kind of just sat on and thought about it, because like the premise is so like you don't need to do a premise. Like you could have had it with somebody was just abstinent and they were just waiting and they were just trying to
Mhm.
like everybody wanted to hook up with them because like they're so pretty
I
and like,
mean,
oh, I just want to do.
yeah, everyone wants to hook up with them because look at them.
You know what I mean? It's like, oh, it's so hard being so beautiful and good looking.
Like,
Oh,
man,
everybody just,
fuck you, bro.
I just want meaningful connection with people, and then whatever, and then they find each other. You could have just done some shit like that. You know what I mean? Like that would have been fine. But yeah, so I give it a burn it for this there. That's what I give one night only.
It's like
Um,
homeboy's married to Dua Lipa, and we're supposed to believe he can't get laid on the one night a year.
yeah, so that was my thoughts there. Very good.